Hello and welcome to my website. You've more than likely found this website because you're searching for answers on fibromyalgia for you or someone you care about. Well, before we get into what I do to successfully help these sufferers, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Dr. Aaron Richardet. I'm a chiropractor here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I've practiced here since 2000 and I've helped a lot of people over those years actually overcome and start to get their life back. People that suffer from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and different symptoms like that. So what makes me different? That's what I'd like to talk about. You know, why are you at this website? Well, more than likely because you haven't found the success of treatment you're looking for. So what makes me different than every other doctor? You could say you've been an endocrinologist, you've been to your family doctor, you've been to 5 other chiropractors, all these different things. You think, well, yeah, I've heard it all before, but what makes what I do different? Well, I'm here to tell you no stone is left unturned in your treatment. I'm going to dig real deep to figure out what the cause of your problem is. I'm not going to just look at the symptoms. I want to know how the symptoms arrive, what actually caused the symptoms to start. So how do I successfully treatment? We use specific metabolic and neurological protocols to actually test and treat each individual patient. And you heard me say individual. We're going to treat every patient individually. No two patients suffer alike. No two patients have the same symptoms, the same cause. So every single patient needs to be looked at as an individual, and we've got to look at the whole system. So what kind of panels are we talking about? Well, we're going to run a thyroid panel. A lot of times in fibromyalgia patients, we see the thyroid numbers are off. Many of you already said, well, I've already had that checked. The doctor says my numbers are normal. Well, normal doesn't mean functional. Normal range is really, really big in thyroid. A lot of times it'll run from 0.5 all the way up to about 5.5. Functional, which is where you really want to be, and functional, what that means is that everything is operating as it should be. It's about 1.8 to 3.5. So it's a very tight little window in the centers where the functional is. So we want to do a complete metabolic panel. We want to also do a lipid panel and a CBC. So we're going to do a lot of blood work on patients. So what we want to do is assess the thyroid, the adrenal, the liver, the kidneys, red white blood cells. We also want to know about gut function, what's going on with the lab test, because internal functions can be affected with these chronic conditions. And if we see that there's a relation between these two, then we need to start to look back and say, all right, well, this is obviously associated. All right, what we also want to know is what's going on with the blood chemistry. Can we help you heal faster? What we want to do now is sensitivity testing. It tells, you hear a lot of talk now about sensitivity gluten testing. What we want to know is do you have testing to wheat, rye, oats, barley, milk, eggs, yeast, and soy? If you're sensitive to any of these food conditions, it's making your condition worse. Your body's treating it as an invader and it's attacking it. If your body's always attacking something, you're going to have these chronic conditions. So what we want to do is if you have any of these, you're more likely. If you have chronic pain or fatigue, frequent indigestion, bloated after eating, frequent loose bowel, constipation, mouth ulcers or sores, or sleep disorders. If you have any of these conditions, more than likely you're allergic to one of these things in here. You don't know that unless you check, and a lot of people say, well, I'll just cut all that stuff out. But then even at that, you don't know about the combinations. Knowledge is power, so we need to know what's going on. The only way to find out if you're suffering from any sensitivities is just to run the test. We also want to do an adrenal stress index. So what I want to do is to test your adrenal glands and see what's going on. What I tell patients is your adrenal glands are your stress organs, meaning that they react to stress. If you have been or are under current stress, then this test is a must. Most fibromyalgia patients will say, well, I had a real stressful, life-altering event, and then my fibromyalgia started. This is something that we've got to test to see. If you suffer from insomnia, blood sugar issues, this test will measure your cortisol levels. Your body's cortisol levels are abnormal. You will suffer from insomnia or problems with your blood sugars. Cortisol levels can be corrected via specific nutritional protocols. Yes, most blood sugar and cortisol levels can be corrected with nutritional protocols. But if you don't test, you don't know, and you're kind of blowing that stab in the dark. We also want to do immune panels. Your immune panels, your problem can be caused by an autoimmune disorder. If you have an immune system disorder, that means your body's attacking itself. How can your body be healthy if it's always trying to attack itself, right? So we need to know what's going on to treat you properly. So we test for specific antibodies to determine if you have an autoimmune condition. If you don't know, you can't get yourself better. Most doctors won't run this, unfortunately. So what kind of immune panels? T and B lymphocytes and NKCs. Cytokine panels, and also your natural killer cell activity. These are two that we want to check. And the two parts to the immune system, the Th1 and Th2. The Th1s are the army that attacks and cleans up afterwards. The helper T cells, suppressor T cells, NKC regulatory T cells, and no macrophages. They go in and attack and kind of do the cleanup work. They're the grunt workers. The B cells make the antibodies. They tell the T cells what to do. So basically, general synopsis is these here come in, identify what's bad. These follow that signal, come in, destroy it, and break it up. And if you have a disrelationship here, or you're having an autoimmune problem, you'll actually be breaking down good cells, so your body's attacking itself. So you want to determine if there's an active antigen or a dysregulation. So active antigens are parasites, bacteria, virus, mold, yeast, fungi, protozoa, foods, chemicals, and heavy metals. The best indicator for an active antigen as the cause of the patient's abnormal dominance is the helper-suppressor ratio, or the T and B cells, called your CD4-CD8 ratio. This is very crucial so we know what's going on. The closer to 2.5 the ratio is, the more likely it is that you're dealing with an antigen. If the ratio is below 1.2, then you're most likely dealing with a dysregulation problem. Two different kinds of treatments. You can have a very, very similar conditions, but unless you know what the cause of it is you could be given ineffective treatments. Ineffective treatments by nature mean that you're not going to get better. Maybe your numbers will look better, but your symptoms will still continue and persist. So they're going to give me an in-depth picture of what exactly is happening in your immune system. If you're suffering from an autoimmune disorder, it's obvious that it trumps everything else. What that means is you can have a whole list of symptoms, and you can have a whole list of problems that are really wrong, but unless you get the immune system properly, you're never going to get better. If the immune system's always attacking itself, it can never have the energy to go out and actually get you healthier. So this trumps everything else. Got autoimmune, we've got to treat that first and get the body in a homeostasis, get it happy with itself so everything is starting to move in a forward test. H. pylori. We can run a test for H. pylori bacteria and determine if any problems are related to gut function. All right? Intestinal permeability, used to determine if the patient suffers from leaky gut syndrome. You hear a lot about that. Well, what is leaky gut syndrome? It describes a condition of altered or damaged bowel lining caused by antibiotics, toxins, poor diet, parasites, or infection. Can lead to increased permeability of the gut. What that means is normal macromolecules have been proposed that these substances affect the body directly, while others postulate a reaction to these substances. I tell patients things like this: your gut wall should be really strong and really tight. When you get leaky gut is it leaves little holes, and things that should normally be too big to pass through the gut wall are able to travel through and get into the rest of the body. When those get into the rest of the body says to itself, that's not supposed to be here. That's a problem. The body will actually start to attack that cell. So it could be something that's very, very normal that you eat in your diet, but if it passes through, the body sees it as a foreign invader. After that, your body starts to learn that that is a problem for it. Anytime you take that in, you go through reaction. Leaky gut's got to be fixed. The leaky gut syndrome, what I tell patients is that's how you get your nutrients. So if you can't get your nutrients, you're never going to be healthy. All right? Neurotransmitters, we test for decreased brain neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are vital for the proper brain function. Decreased neurotransmitter can cause increased pain. There's a saying that's called gut on fire, brain on fire. If you don't have a healthy gut, your brain's not going to be healthy. If the gut was unhealthy, we know that your brain was unhealthy. So we've got to address these two at the same time. Hormone panels. We can check hormone panels to determine if the patient suffers from low testosterone in males or low progesterone estrogen levels in females. Now this symptom's related to decreases depression, fatigue, mental fogginess, mood swings, hot flashes, sweating attacks, weight gain, or decreased stamina. Right? Inflammation. We may need to test for inflammation of your system, testing for homocysteine levels and C-reactive protein. Many patients suffering from chronic health conditions suffer from inflammatory processes. Just about every fibromyalgia patient I've treated suffers from some sort of chronic inflammation process that their other doctors have not addressed and haven't treated properly. All right, glutathione. We use glutathione in our treatment of all chronic conditions. Why? Why do we add it in on all our nutritional protocols? Because it's the mother lode of antioxidants. Glutathione cannot be taken orally in pill form as the body will not absorb it. We've seen miraculous changes in our patient population as a result of our specific glutathione protocols. So this is almost every patient that has a that has a chronic condition is going to get some glutathione treatment. All right, neurological treatments based on specific neurological testing. One thing is oxygen therapy. We use oxygen to fuel the brain. In the office, what we want patients to be is we want them to learn that the brain is very oxygen dependent. If it's not getting a lot of oxygen, then it's not going to be healthy. If it's not going to be functioning healthily, we can't get you over your condition. Brain-based therapies. Depending on your condition, we'll do specific exercises in the office or at home that are going to be designed to stimulate certain areas of the brain to kind of activate it, turn it on. We want to strengthen it. You always hear the brain's a muscle. If it's a muscle, we need to work that muscle. So vibration therapy. Vibration fires back part of the brain called the cerebellum. A lot of people talk about the cerebellum. One of the functions is control of the spinal muscles. We also use auditory, visual, olfactory, and caloric stimulation to increase firing of the brain. Another thing we do unique is we use a lot of laser therapy. We use class 3 lasers in our office. Very therapeutic healing for pain. Patients can actually almost instantly feel pain start to lift in the short term. We want to start to make those changes for the brain. We also offer non-surgical decompression in our office. We do this for our chronic patients suffering from stenosis, degenerative disc, kind of your chronic disc problems. We use that a lot. Interactive metronome, a computer-based program that uses visual, auditory, and stimulatory to start to change the firing of the brain and ask it to start to get back to more of a normal level. Once we've run the necessary tests to determine your specific condition, we can successfully treat you properly, neurologically and metabolic. So what I want you to do is ask yourself the 2 following questions. How has this condition affected your life? How has it affected your family, relationships? How many times have you thought, I really want to go do this? Or they say, hey, come on, let's go out to eat. And you think, ooh, I can't go there. That doesn't agree with me. Or you know, the grandkids come over, or the kids, or the neighbors, or you want to go out for a long dinner with your husband or wife, and you want to do these things, you think, I can't do it. Or you go to work and you come home and you just want to plop down on the couch and just fall asleep, you know? And then a couple hours later you're awake, and then you can't sleep. You sleep a couple hours, and you start to think about these things, and really your condition starts to run your life. You'll run your whole life around this problem. And saying, what has it cost you in money, happiness, and sleep? You know, I ask this question to patients because what I'm giving you is a chance to sit down and talk to me. So where do you picture yourself in the next 3 years if your condition isn't taken care of? Where have you been, where are you now, and where are you going if you don't change what you're doing? And even if you've tried all these other things and you're still not better, then you really haven't gotten to the root of the problem. Where are you going to be in a couple more years? And what is it worth to you if I can give you your life back? I mean, truly make you where you can start to not be ruled by your condition anymore. So what I'm offering is a chance for a free visit to sit down and talk to me. I don't know if I can help you. Unfortunately, at this point, I haven't even met you yet. And what I want to do is actually sit down and discuss with you in depth your condition, and let's talk and let's see if it's something that I can actually help in order to help you get better. My goal in practice isn't to fix every single person. It's only to help the people that I know want the help and that I can help. And what we'll do is we'll have you fill out some paperwork, because I don't accept all cases. So I'm going to have you fill out some paperwork. I'm going to very closely scrutinize your paperwork and make sure it's a condition that I can help and treat. And so what I'm looking for is patients that are warriors, that they'll do whatever it takes to get better. A patient that says, Dr. Aaron, I have a problem. I hope you can help me. I'm going to fill out all this paperwork, and my paperwork's long. I'll ask you more questions than you've ever been asked about your condition before. That I can almost promise you. And you're going to go through this. The next step is we're going to sit down and talk about it. We're going to discuss your paperwork. We're going to discuss your past tests. So I want to see your old lab test. Every lab test you've had for the last few years, I want to see that before you come in, because I want to have time to go over it and review it. And then when we sit down, when we talk about it, we're going to have a game plan. And at that point, it's going to be us discussing if we think we can help and if my treatment is actually right for you. So what I tell patients is, if you're serious about getting your health back, if you're serious about finally changing your life for the better, or somebody you care about's life for the better, then call my girls at 910-798-5560 and speak with Missy or Candy. And what you want to ask them for is the Fibromyalgia packet questionnaire. The next step is to get that questionnaire mailed out to you. You'll fill it out in the comfort of your home, then you're going to send it back in to me. At that point, I'll review it, and then I'll give you a call and we'll discuss it in detail. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope I can help you.